But as Coach Pete Carroll said, quote, "I'm going to do what I think is the right thing to do, and if Gino can play, that's my thought. But I know Kenny can play."
Stay committed to something that keeps the defense guessing.
89s always find a way to make plays, you know that.
Hey, welcome to Upon Further Review, brought to you by Coors Light. I'm your host, Paul Gutierrez, and it seems like the more things change with the Raiders, the more they kind of stay the same. Raiders coming off a 24-17 loss at Allegiant Stadium to the Denver Broncos, their 7th straight loss this season. It's their 11th straight loss in the AFC West. That losing streak in a division is the longest current streak in the NFL. But a couple of changes that happened in that game. Quarterback Geno Smith, first he suffered a hand injury, then he suffered a shoulder injury, came out of the game. Kenny Pickett played the entirety of the fourth quarter. There was a lot of bright spots there. Touchdown pass to Shedrick Jackson. Final score 24-17 as they get ready now to go cross country to face the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. Joining me now, James Jones, former NFL longtime receiver, led the league in touchdown scores one season. James, thanks for joining me. What did you see, just kind of knee-jerk reaction out of the Raiders when they played the Broncos this past weekend? Lot to like, maybe more so not to like, but what did you like?
Man, I think you started your takeoff very, very well. More things stay the same. You've seen a lot of the same things, man. You've seen the struggles on offense, hard to score points. I mean, shoot, we kick a late field goal in that ball game, but to be honest with you, that's another 14-point game that, we had. And, if you can't move the ball and you can't, convert on third downs and you can't stay on the field and you can't score touchdowns, it's going to be hard to win in this league. And then on the other side of the ball, you've seen a defense who I believe is very, very tired, out there all game long. It was 40 minutes for the Denver Broncos, 20 minutes for the Las Vegas Raiders, possession of the football. Man, that's a lot of football being played by our defense. You're going to miss tackles, and that showed up again. So, it's some things we got to clean up, man, if we're going to find a way to get some wins. But the most important thing is we got to score.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what was interesting about this game was in previous weeks it seemed like the theme was the defense was on the field so long because the offense couldn't get anything going. This felt different. This felt like the defense just simply could not get off the field. And now you're getting ready to go into the elements of Philadelphia. This is going to be an interesting game here. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when the Raiders beat the Eagles in Super Bowl 15. Jim Plunkett was the MVP. But when you look at the all-time series between these two teams, it's tied at 7-7. The Eagles themselves, they're on a 3-game losing streak, and they just did it against a rival in the Chargers on Monday Night Football. So the whole country was watching. What are you looking forward to, just kind of like a topical topic, I guess, regarding what the Raiders can do in Philadelphia this coming weekend?
Well, to be honest with you, P, I think these is two teams that are struggling.
Yeah.
The Philadelphia Eagles are struggling offensively to score points. Jalen Hurts is struggling. They can't run the football. Defensively, they're giving up explosive plays, similar to what the Raiders are. They just found ways to win a couple more games than the Raiders. But these are two teams that are struggling right now. So I think whichever defense comes out and is better on third down will have a chance to win this game. If we can keep the Eagles, under 50% on third down, giving our offense some chance to go down there and score some points, I think we'll have a chance to win this football game. The Eagles are not playing lights out right now. They are struggling. The quarterback can't really find his groove in the football game. So if our defense, if Max Crosby can, get on him early and often to get him off his spot, to let him know that we're going to be here all game long, we can make it hard on the Eagles.
A couple more nuggets about this matchup. The Raiders are only 3-10 on the East Coast since 2023. Now they're going into the weather. The Eagles, they're struggling as well, like you said. They've lost 3 straight games, but by a combined 15 points. Flipping it back to the Raiders side of things, we saw some things here that a lot of people have been calling for, and because of injury, it happened. A quarterback change. What's your evaluation of the way Geno had been playing and then the way Kenny looked? You could say it was in mop-up time, but he's still got to play, and everything out there is live and it's real. What did you see from Kenny Pickett when he entered the game?
I seen a guy that came in with a lot of confidence. I seen a guy that extended plays. Geno Smith came into the game, and he had a really good feel for the pocket. He stepped up when he needed to. He delivered the ball when he needed to. He escaped when he needed to. You cannot turn the tape on watching Kenny Pickett in that fourth quarter and still say you're going to start Geno Smith. And I know Geno Smith might be better than Kenny Pickett. That's why he was our starter. But if you look at the last 11 games, Our quarterback, Geno Smith, has not been playing good football. He has not given his team a better chance under center. I think you have to make a quarterback change. You have to put Kenny Pickett in there, and you have to see if he can bring a spark to this offense and some juice to this offense. I don't know who the quarterback is of the future, but the way Geno Smith has struggled this year, you got to see what these other two young fellas got in Kenny Pickett and AOC.
You know, what's interesting about that, too, in talking to Pete Carroll after the game, Monday, even on Wednesday, he was talking that if Geno Smith is healthy enough to go, he's going to be the guy. And then he kind of always couches it, though, and says, well, I also know that Kenny can play, too. So you're calling for regime change, so to speak, James.
I am, because I'm kind of like you. I don't know if you feel like I feel, but I'm tired of watching the same stuff. And that doesn't mean you don't bring back Geno Smith next year. That doesn't mean Geno Smith is a bad quarterback. That means Geno Smith's not playing good football right now. We're in the National Football League. Geno Smith knows. Everybody in that locker room knows. If you do not deliver in the National Football League, they're either finding ways to replace you or they put you on the bench. It's very, very simple. And Geno Smith this year has not been that good at the quarterback spot. You have to see what these other quarterbacks can do. It's not fair to Max Crosby. It's not fair to Devin White. It's not fair to those guys playing defense. If you have a quarterback that is struggling and you got another guy that came in and you've seen the way he moved the ball in the fourth quarter and you're not going to see what he can do. And I'm not saying he's going to come in there and play lights out and the Raiders win this game, but you have to see and find out what Kenny Pickett has. You did trade for him.
And this is the time of the year, the last 4 games of the season, the last quarter of a season, to see what you have going into the offseason, because where the draft held today, the Raiders have the number 2 pick. And there's a guy out there that a lot of fans, and I know we're not going to take the directions from the fans here, so to speak, but a guy, Heisman Mendoza, I think a lot of fans are high on right now as far as quarterback. But when you look at that quarterback room, Geno Smith, Kenny Pickett, Aiden O'Connell, even Cam Miller on the practice squad, who they use a draft pick on, what would you like to see them do going forward? Is this simply a matter of it's Kenny Pickett time, or would you like to see some other guys get in there as well?
So my plan, if I was the head coach and the GM, I would love to see Kenny Pickett start. I would love to see him go out there to see what he can do. I don't need a large sample size of Kenny Pickett. I need to see what Kenny Pickett can do for a game, because Kenny Pickett has played a lot of football in this league. I need to see what he can do. And if it's some bright spots and he moved the ball and we're scoring points, then I'll stick with him another game. If not, if he struggles, Aiden O'Connell has to go in the game. And we have to see what Aiden O'Connell has. We have to see what we have going into the offseason. If your plan is to draft a quarterback, then you're going to need a quarterback to either be a placeholder or you're going to need a really good backup. Right now, we need to figure out which one of those guys is going to be at AOC and Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, and the way I wrote it in the column on Raiders.com on Monday was it wasn't so much a quarterback controversy so much as quarterback intrigue. And to me, what's even more intriguing this last part of the season is seeing the young guys get in there and get some run, get some burn. Guys like Tonka Hemingway, he played 30 snaps, had his first sack. Jack Besh, 6 targets, 6 catches, 50 yards. He led the team in targets, receptions, and receiving yards. Darian Porter at cornerback, 2 pass deflections, career best. Caleb Rogers looks like he's going to be the starting right guard going forward, as long as nothing funny happens here. What does that mean to you, not only as an analyst here, but as a player? When you put your player hat back on and you're in that locker room and you're at this point of the season, what does it mean to see the younger guys getting their reps now?
Well, you love to see that, because that's how you build a football team. You know, they always say your team is not built on your first-round draft pick. Your team is built on your second, your third, and your fourth and fifth round draft picks. If you can hit on those draft picks, that's how you change your organization around. That's how you change your season around. For Jack Besh to get in there and get some burn and to show up the way he show up, and it's a plethora of young guys that, you know, I felt played well out there. That's huge for this organization to be able to let them dudes put that on tape, to see what they have going forward, and hopefully that brings more opportunities for them. But you want to see those guys develop.
You use one of my favorite words of all time, James, plethora. I'm gonna use that in my next article here, because it makes all the sense in the world with this, right? And how do you keep now the Eagles from getting a plethora of sacks? Because the offensive line has been an issue all season long. Now they're getting ready to face a team that's their dominant side when they're right. Even without Jalen Carter, they just sacked Justin Herbert 7 times on Monday Night Football. How can the Raiders keep whoever is under center or in shotgun or in pistol, how do they keep the quarterback safe in Philadelphia on Sunday?
You know, I think the cliche answer is, you know, run the football, help this offensive line out. But to be honest with you, it's the quarterback has to be mobile. You know, you watch Justin Herbert against this defense, they probably should have had 12 sacks.
Yeah.
But with him being mobile and him being strong and him being able to get out there and still be able to get that ball out of his hands, he eluded a bunch of sacks. You know, I'm watching Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams has avoided 40-something sacks, they have said. His drop back rate is something great because he's mobile. But you got to be able to help the offensive line. And when I watched Kenny Pickett in that fourth quarter, that's the main thing that jumped out to me. Oh, shoot, he's escaping the pocket. His eyes are still down the field. He's still making some throws. That's going to help the offensive line. And not only does it help the offensive line, just like anything, it slows down the pass rush.
Yeah.
You know, it's no coincidence that people don't fly up the field on Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
You know, and they don't fly up because they know that these quarterbacks are capable of running. So I think it starts with the quarterback. Number one, getting the ball out of your hands quick. Number two, you have to be able to get out the pocket and be mobile.
So what I'm hearing also, you'd like to see some design plays where the quarterback kind of rolls out, moves the pocket, buys himself time, and buys receivers time to find space down the field.
All three of them, P. All three of them.
All three of them.
Move the pocket. Hey, if you drop back pass and ain't nothing there, step up in the pocket, escape the pocket, and let's go. And let's work on the scramble drill, man. We all know, man, the NFL, man, 80% of plays are off scripted. Our coaches tell that right when we're putting the game plan up. That means the quarterback got to do their job, and we got to work this scramble drill.
Makes too much sense. Now we'll flip it to the defensive side of the ball for the Raiders. Their run defense, they got to try to stall the Eagles' run game. Saquon Barkley, he's closing in on another 1,000-yard rushing season. He's already got 5 touchdowns. He's averaging 4 yards per carry. How scary is this versus how much of a challenge and an opportunity is it for the Raiders' run defense against the Eagles?
It's very scary because we haven't been tackling well.
Yeah.
So now you got to go out here and you got to tackle a Saquon Barkley, and you got to tackle. Shoot, I'm drawing a blank on their backup running back, but they brought him over from Jacksonville. He's a really good runner.
Yeah.
So you got to figure out a way to get these dudes on the ground and tackle. If we do not tackle, we are not going to be good at stopping the run. We are pretty good at being in our gaps and being assignment sound. We just not making the plays when the plays are there to tackle. So I think the main thing going into Sunday is we have to tackle. Saquon Barkley is a tough tackle. You know, Tank Bigsby just came back to me. Tank Bigsby is a tough tackle as well. We are going to have to tackle if we are going to have some success stopping the run. And if you do not stop the Philadelphia Eagles run, you're not going to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. That is where they start.
Yeah. How strange is it, though, in almost mid-December to still be talking about tackling or lack thereof? I mean, is it design or is it desire? And I know a lot of people say, why are you asking a wide receiver about this? But you know, you were in the league. You saw it. You were in the room with guys. I mean, how fine is that line between design and desire when it comes to tackling?
Well, number one, it got to be 11 hats rallying to the ball.
Gotcha.
Number one, you know, the energy and the effort has to be there. Number two, when you get in practice, don't be playing around with the tackling in practice. And I know you cannot take people to the ground in practice. I've been in the National Football League for a long time. But when our defense used to struggle with tackling, man, we used to know as offensive players, hey, man, you better protect yourself today because they are going to run through you and wrap and drive their feet. So you better be ready to run through some tackles because they are going to be physical. You got to be able to simulate that stuff in practice. If you don't, you're not going to be a good tackling football team when it comes on Sundays, Thursdays, Mondays, whenever you play, if you don't simulate that stuff in practice. So it starts there. And then when you come to the game, man, you can't expect your brother to make the play. 11 hats to the ball, rally to the football, and get the man to the ground. That's how you got to play defense.
What about when the Eagles are throwing the ball? Because they got some pretty good weapons out there with Devontae Smith and with Brown out there. Devontae has 64 catches. It seems like the Eagles, every time you look up, they've got new weapons that they can just continue to throw at you, whether it is running the ball or passing the ball. From a receiver perspective, again, same thing. How scary is it what the weapons they have? How much of an opportunity is it for this young Raider secondary?
It's very scary because you got two really good receivers in A.J. Brown and Smitty on the outside that can really, really go and run the whole route tree, and they have the speed. And not only that, you add in Dallas Goedert. But when I watch this Philadelphia team, listen, get after Jalen Hurts. He is not throwing the ball extremely well right now. He's struggling offensively. And if the guy that's throwing those dudes the ball is struggling and they're struggling with their timing, get after him as a pass rush, and our DBs, I kind of like our chances in this matchup against A.J. Brown and Smitty and Jalen Hurts.
James, and again, from the Raider perspective at cornerback, they're going to be without Caillou Blue-Kelly, who's starting to show up. He leads the team in interceptions. So, again, more opportunities for another cornerback to step up against this Eagles passing attack. James, thank you so much for joining me, man. Every week, I feel like I just get a little bit smarter and learn a little bit more when it comes to the X's and O's. Thanks for joining me.
I appreciate you having me, man. I try to give you some good insight, man.
Always. All right, don't go anywhere. We got coming up next one of the young guys who got an opportunity, made the most of it. First NFL catch, first NFL touchdown. Shedrick Jackson, wide receiver. He's going to join the show.
Meet Max Out. He's a credit wrecker. His eyes are bigger than his wallet. And his credit score pays the price. You see, Max doesn't know he should only use 30% or less of his credit limit, because using his full line can lower his score. Don't be like Max Out. Instead, learn how to avoid the wreckers at creditwreckers.com. Credit One Bank for what's ahead.
He's got a man open. Touchdown Raiders. Shedrick Jackson.
Bo Jackson to the 20 and out in front, and only one man to beat, and Easley can't run him down. He had the angle, but there goes Bo, and nobody catches Bo. Touchdown.
Good protection. Pickett over the middle to the end zone. Touchdown. Shedrick Jackson. His first career touchdown!
Hey, welcome back to Upon Further Review, and our guest needs no introduction if you saw the highlights right there. Shedrick Jackson. Shedrick, number one, congratulations. First NFL catch, first NFL touchdown. Not a lot of guys can say that, so when you hear that, number one, what are you thinking when you see those highlights and it's spliced in there with your great Uncle Bo, but also getting that first touchdown?
Man, it's really cool, just to see him do his thing back in the day, all the great highlights that he did, Of course, hearing about it, but I never seen it live, but being able to see the reruns and stuff is just really cool. And then coming into the same organization, doing some of the same things is just really cool to do.
And we'll get more into the relationship with Bo later. And I'm old enough to have actually been there and seen some of those plays live, and I was actually there for his last run, unfortunately. But I was also there to see your first, touchdown catch in the NFL, your first catch. I just asked Pete Carroll about it. He said he was really excited about it. In a season like what's going on, those are the highlights. Those are the things that a guy can kind of hang his hat on. Right. He said you didn't really nail your celebration, though. So hopefully you'll get another opportunity to nail it.
You know what's funny about that? Me and Pete, we butt heads sometimes in practice. We like to talk trash to each other. So I think we have fun with that. But at the end of the day, he's coming here to try to do his thing, turn things around, and we're trying to finish out the season and just do as much as we can, make plays, and find a win at the end of the season.
For you on a personal level, and I know it's the ultimate team sport, right? But for you, you've been a profile in perseverance. I mean, you come out of college at Auburn. You're an undrafted free agent. You sign with the Bengals. You get up for 5 games, get 1 target, no catches there. You lead the Raiders in the preseason in catches, and you have a touchdown catch. What is it about that stick-to-itiveness for you that makes you say, you know what, to not necessarily give up, but just say, maybe this isn't it for me, and I'm going to keep going forward, and you get rewarded, like with what happened on Sunday?
Yeah, you never know. You just take it one day at a time and put the work in necessary that you need to get better, or stay consistent and just stay in that mindset of it's going to happen, and whenever your number gets called, you just got to stay ready, so you ain't got to get ready, and that's all it is to it.
How do you stay ready so you don't have to get ready?
Staying in the playbook.
Yeah.
Make sure I'm on top of my fundamentals, my technique. Just trusting it at the end of the day and knowing that when I get on the field and it's time to do what I do, then I'm going to be able to execute.
So that touchdown catch there that you had, again, Pete called it the pass exquisite. I asked him, well, if the pass was exquisite, what was the catch? And he said, perfect.
Yeah.
From your perspective, you're lined up wide right. What are you seeing as you're running down the field, and what was that pattern that you were running?
Yeah, so it was just a play we had in, 2-minute call. Kenny's orchestrating the offense, whatever. He seen the coverage that he liked and came to my side. Once I came out the ball, it was a little bit of soft coverage, so it made it kind of a little bit easier. And yeah, he put it on the line. Like, honestly, it was a perfect pass. The timing was great, and we made it happen.
And I think for any wannabe receivers that are out there, or guys that are learning, anybody that's learning to be a receiver, you caught that ball with your hands. You didn't catch it with your chest.
Right.
Is that just something innate with you, or is that just that's what you're supposed to do?
Yeah, I mean, you see the ball, you just react to it. So I trust my hands, put them out there, and made the catch.
How big did your eyes get when that ball's coming to you? Because again, you haven't really caught a pass in a game since the preseason. I mean, is that just muscle memory? What happens?
That's a part of what I was saying. Just staying ready, just trusting your technique, knowing your fundamentals, and knowing that they're solid to be able to make plays like that. It's the league, so when you get out there, you just got to make that play.
So when we talked briefly after the game ball was already secured very tightly in your locker.
For sure.
And you had said that you had already talked to Grunkle Bo, your great uncle Bo, and Bo is your dad's brother. So your paternal grandfather's brother?
Yeah, my granddad's brother.
Okay.
So my second uncle, yep.
And you had also said that you guys had already talked earlier in the week when you got elevated.
Mm-hmm.
What was that conversation like? And then have you talked with them since the touchdown?
Yeah, it was just a simple little conversation about, just tell him that, watch the game a little bit because he's not so deep into football sports right now. So I just told him, I was like, watch the game. I'm going to get in there a little bit, do my thing, because I knew earlier in the week that I was going to be up. So that was just something we talked about for a little bit, and it was exciting to make that play. And family hit me up, friends and stuff like that, so it was good.
Have you been able to talk to him since the game?
I haven't talked to him since.
Okay.
Just text messages and everything, but
okay. So were you talking a little trash to him about it? Because I know in the summer when we talked to training camp, you said you actually told me that you thought you were the better athlete.
Not yet. But I do talk trash to him. He be trying to fight me every once in a while. You know how he is. But yeah, it's always good to have that back and forth and just have fun with it. Honestly, because like you said, like watching the highlights, it's really cool to have him come in the league, doing something that's so hard and not a lot of people get to do. So for both to be able to do that is really, really cool.
And he wasn't doing it just in one sport either. He was also
he was balling.
Yeah, and Bo knows, but now Shedrick knows about scoring. So when it comes to what you need to do going forward, how much would you lean on him for some advice or anything like that in terms of just, besides going to Auburn also, but being with this organization and going forward with your goals?
That's just something that I always know. If I need help with it, I can call him, ask him questions, pick his brain a little bit. And that's great to have somebody that played the sport and has done it in so many levels in so many ways. So I think that's just a big help for me.
When it comes to you and running those routes and staying patient, like you said, staying ready so you don't have to get ready, your journey is just one of those things you look at it and, you came out of college a couple years ago, and this is your real first opportunity. Dante Thornton was down with a concussion. How do you now just kind of stay in that mindset of, you know what, I belong here. I'm going to get my opportunities. I'm going to get my run.
Yeah, it's just about staying ready. It's about being where you are, being where your feet are, staying grounded at the end of the day, and just trying to enjoy it because, like I said, the game is so hard. Just to get in the league and then stay in the league is very hard too. So just trying to enjoy it every day, enjoying the camaraderie, going out there making plays, being in the building. It's all very, very exciting for me.
So in the preseason, 8 catches, 133 yards, a touchdown. Thus far, 1 catch, 25 yards, touchdown. What have you given this coaching staff to think about these last 4 games of the season?
I'm not in their head, so I don't know. But
what do you hope you gave them to think about, or what have you given yourself to think about?
Just to know that when I get on the field, I'm a playmaker. Whatever I'm doing, special teams, offense, whatever it is, I just go out there and try to make plays. First, stand within myself and just knowing that what I'm doing is on track and aligned with, where I want to be. So usually I stick to that and just go out there and make plays.
And you got that 4.25 speed anyway, right? Or did you ever run anything faster than that?
I think that might be the fastest I ran.
Okay.
But
And your great uncle Bo allegedly ran a 4.13.
supposedly.
Shedrick, thank you so much for your time, man. I appreciate you stopping by. I know you got to get ready for the Eagles. Everybody else, though, stick with us. We've got Cynthia Frelund coming up next with her numbers to know.
Comes the blitz. Gino sees it, lobs it towards the end zone. Bowers shoved to the ground. Still got it. Made the catch. Still got it. Oh my God, still Bowers! And A.J. Cole now has to punt it. So instead of getting any points, they're trying to pin the Broncos deep. It checks up at the 2 and kicks right out of bounds again. Blitz. Dak back to throw. Settles in the pocket. He pumps. Crosby knocks the ball out of his hands. It's loose at the 15. Still rolling around on the turf. And the Raiders are on top of it at the 14-yard line.
But as Coach Pete Carroll said, quote, "I'm going to do what I think is the right thing to do, and if Gino can play, that's my thought. But I know Kenny can play."
Stay committed to something that keeps the defense guessing.
89s always find a way to make plays. You know that?
Welcome back to Upon Further Review, and as always, joined by Cynthia Frelund to help us all dive deeper into the numbers. And Cynthia, usually I kind of have a sense of the smell test or the taste test or the look test. I don't know what I was looking at on Monday night when I saw Jalen Hurts out there. Kind of help it make sense to me with some numbers here as far as what happened with him on Monday night.
If anyone says they know exactly what happened, be it through numbers or anything else, I think you should question their sanity, because I don't even think Jalen Hurts knows what exactly happened out there. I will say I usually don't, like play calling. I don't know what's going on, right? Because we never have the insight of like what's going on with the tackle, like is everyone hurt or whatever. But it just feels like if you're throwing a lot of interceptions, maybe you do something different, like run the football more. It seemed to be, whatever. So I don't know what I saw. I've watched it like 3 or 4 times.
So we can't even put any numbers on it. And I'm with you on that, but some numbers here for Jalen Hurts as he looks for a get-right game against the Raiders. He definitely, his passer rating from his QBR dropped from the 5th best in the NFL to the 12th after that showing against the Chargers. What can he do? And again, I know this is a Raider podcast, so we don't want to see this happen from the Raider perspective, but from his perspective, what can he do to improve himself, not only numbers-wise, but just the way it looks?
Well, what the Chargers did, and this will get into my numbers to know, I won't say it all, but
yeah, that's a tease.
It's a tease. It's a tease. But they kind of had to rely on Justin Herbert to scramble. So what I'm saying is on both sides here, you have a lot of pressure coming your way. Jalen Hurts, he was under everyone was under a lot of pressure in this game. So we saw the running and Jalen Hurts' legs specifically be something where maybe I was a little confounded that it didn't look a little bit better from that perspective. I don't know. I'm going to be honest. To get right, he's just going to have to connect with his receivers. We did see some uncharacteristic drops from a Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. Those guys don't drop footballs typically, so we saw some weird things as well, but that happens over the course of the game. For turning the ball over twice on one play. I mean, whoever had to research that mid-game to see if that's ever happened before, like what a thankless task, right? I just spent this much time validating something we all knew that no one has ever done that before.
But it goes viral, right, on social media because people are like, wait a minute, that's really a thing. And yet, you throw the interception and then you get the ball back on the fumble and then you fumble it yourself. So again, just weird things in that Monday night game. They had to go cross-country. Now they go back. Now the Raiders go cross-country. And you've got some uncertainty, some palace intrigue, I guess, when it comes to the Raider quarterback room because Geno Smith First he injures a hand, then he injures a shoulder, then Kenny Pickett gets the entirety of the fourth quarter to go out there and acquits himself fairly well. What did you see from Kenny Pickett, and what overall just from the Raider quarterback room? Because there's been a lot of yells for some change there, and we saw it by way of injury.
Well, look, I hate an injury. We'll start with that. But
Okay.
ultimately, if it's Kenny Pickett that goes in this matchup, I think we see an increase in mobility. Not necessarily the mobility you see from like a Jalen Hurts or whatever, but think more like the Baker Mayfield style, like where when you have to, he goes out and gets it. That's more the profile of what you'd be looking at in this matchup. And I think that actually would bode well because Justin Herbert, under all that pressure, it was a 68% pressure rate from the Eagles. The way he got around that, he turned the ball over a lot too, right? But the way he got around that season high pressure rate for any defense is, he ran, right? He had a whole bunch of his 7 scrambles, 40 rushing yards, and 3 first downs earned on his feet. And I think that would be something where Geno or Kenny Pickett would have the opportunity to really help themselves out by running and making sure that those scrambles that turned into either throws on the run or scrambles for rushing yards, those were a helpful point to this offense.
So for what it's worth, Coach Carroll on Wednesday said that Kenny Pickett would get the first team reps in practice because Geno still wasn't healthy enough to practice. But if Geno was healthy enough to play, he'd be the guy going forward. So we kind of put that off to the side and realize that is the situation. Whoever the quarterback is, going against this Eagles secondary, very stingy secondary, they force almost 15 incompletions a game. Does that make sense from a numbers perspective, or again, is this like we started talking about? Is it more just does it look right, does it feel right when it's whoever the quarterback is going against the Eagles secondary?
Well, I will say Quinyon Mitchell is a very difficult corner to have to deal with. However, there's a little bit more opportunity on the Adoree Jackson side of the field, so perhaps some matchups to exploit perhaps some of the speed or some of the guy who makes the one-handed end zone catch. I don't know, maybe you heard of him. But perhaps he'll have a better matchup there out wide. When it's Quinyon Mitchell, stay away from him. He's done great this season. He has really been a lockdown corner. Now, Adoree Jackson has had some moments where he's been vulnerable, and perhaps that's a better matchup to target. So it's more of who are you going to target? How are you going to get Brock Bowers open? There, I said it. Yep. And then ultimately find those seams. I mean, that touchdown that he scored against the Broncos didn't come against Pat Surtain. It came against Talanoa Hufanga, and that's obviously not their lockdown corner, right? So find those ways to exploit the different areas where Brock Bowers is going to line up wide. He's going to line up tight. He's going to line up in the slot. But let's mix things up a little bit and leverage the outside looks for him.
Which is interesting because Brock, even though he missed 3+ games, he's still 7th among tight ends in receiving yards, 629. And Ashton Genty for Ashton Genty for all of the hand wringing over the rushing, which is why he was drafted to run the ball. He's being targeted a lot in the passing game as well. He's tied for 2nd among running backs in receiving touchdowns with 4. So like you're talking about, there's opportunities to be had. It's just a matter of trying to find them in that minefield that is Philadelphia, which leads me to this. I want to find the nugget from you, what the number to know is from you for this game between the Raiders and the Eagles in Philadelphia.
Well, if you go back and watch those turnovers, all 4 of the interceptions by Jalen Hurts, you'll notice they have one thing in common. They all happened in over 2.5 seconds. So extended dropback, so anything more than 2.5 seconds. So that's going to be the key. Quick pressures aren't necessarily the key in this one. Usually I'll say, get to the quarterback quickly, sub 2.5 seconds. That's what you're going to need to do. Here, you can take a little bit longer, perhaps blanket some of the receivers in coverage. Maybe don't blitz as often so you could throw a couple of guys back in coverage, because what we saw in that game, the key to those turnovers was to make Jalen Hurts have to think about it just a little bit and keep any of his pass catchers, and that includes Dallas Goedert, from being able to be open and get that separation.
And that sounds like the epitome of what people always talk about, pass coverage helping out pass rush and pass rush helping out.
Hand in glove, baby.
They do it. So, Cynthia, thank you so much. So for all of her numbers to know, you can check it all out on the Raiders official YouTube page, but also on Raiders.com. Cynthia, as always, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Raider Nation, it's time to help get your favorite Raiders selected to the 2026 Pro Bowl games. The 2026 Pro Bowl fan vote is live, and fans can cast their vote at Raiders.com/Pro Bowl until the end of voting period on Monday, December 15th. Well, that'll do it for this week's edition of Upon Further Review. Thanks to our guests, James Jones, Shedrick Jackson, and Cynthia Frelund for previewing this Sunday's game against the Philadelphia Eagles at Lincoln Financial Field. To stay up to date on all things silver and black, check out our shows and watch them all on our YouTube channel and visit Raiders.com for more content.